talking earlier about the U.S. Hot Rod Association truly presenting America's sports. And here we go, across the continent now. This time on the far west coast. Anaheim, California is the host site for the two-wheel drive super modified truck pulling competition. And you are really going to see a unique array of vehicles, exotic body stylings, and certainly a ton of power in these massive machines. Well, we really start off with one of the more unique ones right here. This is a Chevrolet C-Cab, and it's Jim Brockman, the Kodiak In-Laws and Outlaws. He's going to be our test puller. The test puller is simply the man who hooks to the sled first to try and give the U.S. Hot Rod officials and the sled team a feel for if they've got the sled weighted right and if they've got the transfer case geared right. And so that's what we're doing right now as the test pull will send Jim Brockman down the track. Jim Brockman bangs it out. It's a full pull on the test pull. And our understanding is that the U.S. Hot Rod officials think they want to at least change the gearing of that transfer case a little bit, make that weight box ride up a lot faster. So Brockman will have to come back and pull again a little bit later in the competition. A good pull for Jim Brockman, but as the test puller, he will now have to come back and try it again on a different sled. So our first official puller will be the Miller Ride. This is Steve Jaski. The Jaski team out of New Berlin, Wisconsin. Bud Jaski, several-time U.S. Hot Rod Association tractor pulling champion. Well, Steve pulls with those Miller colors in the two-wheel drive classification. And again, Steve Jaski will be our first official puller after the test pull of In-Laws and Outlaws has been thrown out because they've changed the sled. Jaski will have a green flag condition on the track, and here he goes. And that'll be our first official distance. Steve Jaski coming up a little bit short of that full pull mark. The distance is going to come in at 213 feet 10 inches. 213.10 for Steve Jaski and the Miller machine. There you see a pretty good looking pull, just not quite enough to bang it out the back door. Next up, a very unique vehicle. This is Dennis Marson's Desperado. He will now hook to the sled and try to beat the 213.10 laid down by Steve Jaski just a moment ago, the Desperado. You see the hands go up in the air. That's to show the U.S. Hot Rod officials when they hook up the sled to the tractor that he is off the throttle, and he knows that he's being hooked up. Now he takes the slack out, and he's ready to pull. Enough. Did not have a real good sound to that engine as it came up the track. Dennis Marson is going to be well short of the lead distance that Steve Jaski sat down a moment ago. Here on the replay, you see him getting it out, staying right in the middle of the track, but it just wasn't there for the Desperado. Dennis Marson at 194.11. 194 feet, 11 inches for the Desperado. 213.10 is still the distance to beat. And here is one of the true superstars in this side of the sport, the two-wheel drive pulling, the Toyota of Bill Romsberg, known as the Rice Burner. And again, this is the only Toyota currently pulling in this division, and certainly Romsberg may have something on a lot of these other guys because he really is able to keep that Toyota towards the head of the class. The slack is out, and the three-time United States Hot Rod Association two-wheel drive champion is ready to try and take the lead here at Anaheim. Excellent pull. That'll be enough to take the lead. It's not a full pull, but it will be number one, at least for the moment. Alberton, Pennsylvania's Bill Romsberg and the Rice Burner Toyota. Here it is on the replay. The official distance, 222 feet, 3 inches for Bill Romsberg and the Rice Burner out of Pennsylvania. That is now the distance to beat. The Rice Burner sits in the #1 spot. But we saw Dennis Marson a moment ago in Desperado. Didn't have a great pull, only came in at about 194, but he may have learned something about the track because Marson is now back in his other vehicle. This is Power Play. I'd say he learned something. That Keith Black Hemi engine gets Power Play out the back door. It's a full pull for Dennis Marson and Power Play. Watch it again on the replay. Look at that nose up in the air and all the power on the back wheels, and it is just taking it out. A great pull for Dennis Marson and Power Play. Now you've got to have a full pull to make the pull-off, and here's a guy certainly capable of doing just that. This is Dan Walsh, the Irish Challenger team out of Wisconsin. His brother Dave, one of the top tractor pullers in the country, and Dan is at the head of the class in two-wheel drive truck pulling. The green colors of the Irish Challenger, blazing in Anaheim and ready to try and force a pull-off. Look at this. He was about to drive it right out of the stadium and turn left, head on down the street and grab a hamburger because Dan Walsh had plenty. A full pull for the Irish Challenger. Here it is again on the replay, and you can see he was just taking this baby right on out the door. Finally, Mike Speller down at the end line, the U.S. Hot Rod official says, "Go ahead, stop, Dan, you're out of here." A full pull for the Irish Challenger. So now we know we're going to have a pull-off. We'll see how many trucks are able to make it. Jim Brockman is back in the Kodiak In-Laws and Outlaws. A few moments ago, he was the test puller, recorded a full pull, but that pull was thrown out when they changed the sled. Let's see if Brockman's got what it takes to do it again. Power Play is in a pull-off with Irish Challenger. Can In-Laws and Outlaws join them? Brockman's got the slack out. You see his right hand on the throttle, and here he goes. Out of here, Jim Brockman says, "Hey, I don't care if you change the sled. We've got what it takes tonight." And indeed, In-Laws and Outlaws has done it again, and this full pull counts. You can put Jim Brockman into the pull-off with Dennis Marson and Dan Walsh. And we've still got more top competitors to go. This could be a very large pull-off. Here comes Aftershock and Jerry Fortier, ready to go in Aftershock. It takes a full pull. We'll see if Aftershock can make it a four-way pull-off. We've got three out the back door right now. Aftershock now still just getting things set. They've got him hooked to the sled, and Jerry takes the slack out. Ready to go now. It'll be a green track condition for Aftershock. Not going to get there. A little short of the 200-foot mark for Jerry Fortier at Aftershock. We'll watch it again on the replay. Never seemed to get a whole lot of speed up, and indeed, the sled pulled him down just short of the 200-foot mark. The distance is 194.3, 194 feet, 3 inches for Aftershock. So we still have 3 with full pulls, and frankly, 5 of the top competitors are still to come here in this two-wheel drive competition. Here's one of them, John Shipman, rolling out the first of his 2 trucks. This is Temporary Insanity. We'll see him back out a little later with a 91 Ford he calls Mad Dog's Revenge. So Temporary Insanity will try to take it out. If he doesn't, Shipman hopes he can gain a little knowledge of the track that'll help him when he brings out his other two-wheel drive. This is Temporary Insanity. Out of bounds. bounds. He pulls it back in. We're looking. They're giving an indication that he did not go out of bounds. That was dangerously close to an out-of-bounds run. Mike Speller, the official at the end of the track, says no, it's a good legal run, and that means it's a full pull for John Shipman in temporary insanity. Almost out of bounds, and instead, he's into the pull-off. That makes 4 that we know will go to the pull-off, and here comes Magnum Jr. hoping to make it a 5-some. Butch Schultz and the Magnum Jr. Ford. John Shipman's temporary insanity, Dennis Marson and the power play, Dan Walsh and the Irish Challenger, Jim Brockman and In-Laws and Outlaws. They are in the pull-off so far. We'll see if Butch Schultz can join them right now. Yes, indeed. It is a 5th full pull at Anaheim, this time for the Ford known as Magnum Jr. Again on the replay, Butch Schultz with plenty to spare takes it all the way out of Anaheim Stadium and goes into the pull-off. We now have 5 that we'll see trying to determine this championship when we get to pull-off time. But there are still more with a chance to qualify. John Shipman already has one of his vehicles in the pull-off, that being temporary insanity. He'll try to make it 2 right here, because this is Shipman's Mad Dog's Revenge 1991 Ford. Shipman backs it in, gets hooked up as you get a look at the fans having a good time with the U.S. Hot Rod Association here at Anaheim Stadium. It's a green flag condition on the track, and here comes John Shipman and Mad Dog's Revenge. Well, John had gotten into the pull-off earlier with temporary insanity, but he'll have only 1 truck in the pull-off. Mad Dog's Revenge comes up a little bit short. The distance, 215.10, 215 feet, 10 inches for John Shipman and the Mad Dog's Revenge Ford. But again, John's certainly not done this week on Super Tracks. He'll bring temporary insanity back a little later. Well, you talk about one of the Ford fan favorites. We just saw one in Mad Dog's Revenge. Here's another. John Heilman and the Golden Thunder Ford Thunderbird out of Rockford, Ohio. Heilman, another of the veterans who races in more than one division in this pulling sport. He competes here in the 2-wheel drives and also has one of the 7,200-pound super modified tractors that he calls Ohio Gold. John Heilman trying to join the pull-off. The Thunderbird Super Coupe is not going to get there this time around. John Heilman never really seemed to get it going as he bogs down short of the full pull line. The distance is 214 feet, 8 inches. A disappointing pull for John Heilman as Golden Thunder will not make the pull-off at Anaheim. Our final competitor with a chance to make the pull-off is Bob Borba, the one and only. The Anaheim crowd ready to go. Several of you can see sticking those earplugs in and getting ready because they know Bob Borba is really going to turn the noise level up here in Anaheim right now. He's got a problem, a lot of smoke. The noise hand grenaded the whole thing. And there's a fire on the engine as well. Bob Borba absolutely explodes the engine of the one and only. The fire extinguishers are there. They're going to get it calmed down. Indeed. Who brought the marshmallows? The fire's still blazing. And, of course, that is kind of scary when you see those alcohol fires. You don't get a real big flame, but nonetheless it's burning, and they get her put out. What a bad break for Bob Borba. An expensive pull here in Anaheim as he absolutely hand grenades the engine, and this one goes to the scrap heap. Once again on the replay, you can see at the end of the run, the smoke started billowing out Bob knew he was in trouble at this point. He tries to get every inch he can, and poof, there you saw it. The engine explodes, and Borba can only go 173 feet 8 inches. You see the 5 in the pull-off. Power Play, Challenger, Kodiak In-Laws and Outlaws, Temporary Insanity, and Magnum Jr. Rice Burner finishes 6th. The Toyota is 6th. Then it's Mad Dog's Revenge 7th, followed by Golden Thunder, Miller High Life, Desperado, Aftershock, and unfortunately the one and only Exploding the Engine finishes last.
Okay, Klaus.
No more California dreaming for the best of the super modified two-wheel drive truck pullers, because it is now reality time. One of them is going to be the champ at Anaheim Stadium. It'll either be the Magnum Junior Ford of Butch Schultz, the Temporary Insanity of John Shipman, Dan Walsh's Irish Challenger, Jim Brockman's In-Laws and Outlaws Chevy C-Cab, or the Power Play machine of Dennis Marson. We are ready for the pull-off, and it is indeed Power Play that will first get the green flag on the track. Everybody starts from scratch. You see Dennis Marson putting his hands in the air. That's to show the officials they can hook him to the sled, and he is off of the throttle. Now he's ready to go. This is Power Play, and nobody has a distance. The 5 in the pull-off start from scratch. This determines the champ. Here we go. Outstanding pull. Looked great. Dennis Marson in Power Play came down the track beautifully. Remember, the sled is much heavier now than when they pulled earlier, and he got it right around the 200-foot mark. And I'm going to tell you, that's going to be tough to beat. Dennis Marson's Power Play at 2029. 202 feet, 9 inches for Power Play. Now Dan Walsh and the Irish Challenger certainly figures to be one of the toughest competitors, but he's also got a heck of a shot that he's got to best the 2029 that Dennis Marson put down just a moment ago. The Wisconsin-based Irish Challenger, the Mean Green, ready to try and take it on down. Dan Walsh gets everything set, all the gear in place, and now he'll get a green flag on the track. The track belongs to the Irish Challenger. He's got a good one going. And I think he's done it. It appears he has pulled just a little past the 202.9 mark that was put down by Power Play a moment ago. You see it on the replay. A picture-perfect pull for the Irish Challenger, and there it is, 206 feet even. We have a new leader. It's Dan Walsh and the big, bad Irish Challenger Ford at 206 feet. Jim Brockman's got quite a job in front of him, and he knows it. The first 2 pulls have been outstanding here in the pull-off. But remember, Brockman has already made 2 full passes. He was the test puller, took it out of here. They heavied up the sled, threw out his first pull. He came back and did it again. Now, does Brockman, on a 3rd pull here at Anaheim, on a 3rd hook, does he have enough to reclaim the lead? It's In-Laws and Outlaws. Pulls, not really bad overall, but it just never seemed to hook up for the Chevrolet C-Cab. Here you see it. He never got a whole lot of speed and ends up bogging down a little short of the 200-foot mark. It's 190 feet 6 inches for Jim Brockman and In-Laws and Outlaws. Again, 196. He is about 16 feet short of the lead distance put down by the Irish Challenger. It is once again Ford time. Here's Butch Schultz and Magnum Jr. Distance to beat, 206 feet even. Oh, my, right there. Magnum Jr. breaks on what looked to be a decent run. He had some decent momentum, but on the replay, just all of a sudden, something goes away, something snaps, and you can stick a fork in Magnum Jr. He's done for this day. It is a disappointing pull in the pull-off for Butch Schultz at 162.8, 162 feet, 8 inches. Well, Dan Walsh is on the edge of victory lane, but before he can take the final step, he's got another bullet to dodge, because here comes John Shipman and Temporary Insanity. The distance to beat, 206 feet even. Our final competitor in the pull-off at Anaheim. Slack is out, track is green, and Temporary Insanity is coming at you. Something broke on the Temporary Insanity ride. Another one goes down. Boy, you could just see, even though he's still got the helmet in front of half of his face, you could see his eyes are just saying, oh no. John Shipman's Temporary Insanity breaks big time on the track at Anaheim. The distance 159 feet, and that means Dan Walsh and the Irish Challenger wins it for the Ford camp. 206 feet even. Dennis Marson's power play ends